Hey guys, today I'm breaking down the strongest build across all classes in Season 8, the Sorcerer with Lightning Spear. It's not only the most powerful, but also insanely fast and one of the smoothest builds to play. How do you get infinite evade? What's the most important stat in this build? How do breakpoints work? What gear should you prioritize? And how should you approach masterworking? How does it all come together, both generally and in the details? I'm Nuoff. Let's get into it, step by step, no fluff. Like, subscribe, let's go. This build is based on one of Makuna's setups. I've made a few adjustments to the Paragon board past level 260. For fast farming, my version fits better. With the gear shown in the video, I cleared pit 100 in 217 with snapshot and 315 without it. Average time for pit 100 is about 4 minutes, but I usually run pit 79 in just over a minute. The core aspect of the build is splintering energy on the staff. This aspect increases your damage based on your critical damage, making critical damage one of the main stats to scale. Your target critical damage should be at least 2,500, and since we want high critical damage, critical chance is just as important. More on that later. The aspect also splits your lightning spears to hit 5 additional targets. Required staff stats: intelligence, maximum life, and critical damage. If only one greater affix is available, the priority is intelligence, critical damage, maximum life. Helm, Harlequin Crest, drops from Duriel and Andariel. The goal is to get a greater affix for cooldown reduction and land all 3 masterworking hits into cooldown reduction. If you don't have a greater affix yet, no problem, the build still works. Alternative, Hail of Verglas, drops from Ivar, Grigor, the Beast in the Ice, and Duriel. There are no greater affix goals here since this is a temporary option. The first 3 stats roll well, but Ice Shards and the legendary aspect on it are useless for this build. Chest Armor, use Raiment of the Infinite, drops from Varshan, and more rarely from Lord Zir and Duriel. The target greater affixes are Intelligence and Glass Cannon. Masterworking should go +3 times into Glass Cannon. This makes your character more fragile due to Glass Cannon, but lets you pull enemies in and stun them after every teleport. Alternative, Shroud of False Death, drops from Duriel and Andariel and much more rarely from Varshan, Zir, and Grigor. It gives better survivability. The damage difference is minor compared to Raiment, but it reduces the speed of your gameplay and removes the enemy pull effect. Target greater affixes are all stats and maximum life. This is a temporary replacement if you're optimizing performance. Ideal masterworking, +3 times into maximum life. Boots must have the affix. Attacks reduce evade's cooldown by 1.5 seconds. Aspect of the Orange Herald helps reset your ultimate. Priority greater affix, intelligence. Maximum life and mana per second are fine without greater affix. Mana on boots is needed to maximize damage with the Ahu plus Cox rune combo. Ideal masterworking, +3 times into intelligence, or 2 into intelligence and 1 into maximum life, as long as your evade cooldown hits 1.7 seconds. More on that later. If the boots don't roll mana per second, for example dodge instead, then replace Ahu plus Cox with another rune combo if mana becomes a problem, such as Sir plus Vex or Tem plus Ohm. The amulet should have the aspect of elements. You can use this if you don't plan to push. My amulet isn't perfect, good ones are very expensive. Priority is to have all 3 needed stats: intelligence, inner flame, and permafrost, even without greater affixes. If you must choose between inner flame and permafrost, prefer permafrost since its damage multiplier applies unconditionally. Both give +6%. Ideal masterworking, 2 times into permafrost, 1 time into inner flame. For reference, intelligence also provides a multiplicative damage bonus plus resistances. Gloves is CD bindings dropped by Lord Zir. The only important stat is the greater affix on primordial bindings. Other stats and aspect are secondary. Ideal masterworking, 3 times into primordial bindings, minimum 2. First ring, Tal Rasha, drops from Varshan, less often from Duriel, Beast in the Ice, and Urivar. To make it work, you need to use all 3 type of the elements in rotation. Target greater affix is cooldown reduction, and ideally a greater affix on non-physical damage as well. The aspect value should be 25 or very close. Ideal masterworking, 3 times into cooldown reduction. Second ring, Ring of Starless Skies, drops from Duriel and Andariel, much more rarely from Varshan, Lord Zir, Grigor. It is optimal because it reduces resource costs while also multiplicatively increasing damage. target greater affixes, 2 on critical chance and 1 on attack speed. Ideal masterworking depends on your max critical chance setup. I used the Sem plus Gar rune combo, so I went 2 times into critical chance and 1 time into attack speed. If you use a seasonal power for critical chance, then 3 times into attack speed. Alternative until you get Starless Skies, a regular ring with critical chance and critical damage, plus an aspect that increases damage while barrier is active. You can use Prodigy's aspect if mana is an issue. Tybalt's Will, drops from Duriel and Andariel. Very rare drops from the Beast in the Ice, Urivar, and Harbinger. Used for snapshotting through Flame Shield and higher damage due to a 20% multiplier from the aspect. However, this bonus has about a 1-second gap even at max cooldown reduction. Also, Flame Shield makes you invulnerable and by default grants Unstoppable while active. It lasts for 2.4 seconds. Target greater affixes all. Ideal masterworking, 3 times into maximum life. Alternative, Ancestor's Pants with Intelligence, maximum life, armor, and snow-veiled aspect. Difference between pants: ice armor provides protection with a small 1-second gap, but you're unstoppable all the time. Ice armor also gives an additional barrier and mana regeneration. However, for an overpowered snapshot, you need Flame Shield. If you're not pushing high pits and struggle with survivability, this is your choice. Now about the skills. Pick any 2 basic nodes to progress further. Then take Fireball. This is your fire damage to activate Talrasha's Ring, and it also instantly kills enemies under 25% maximum life. It doesn't work on bosses, but helps a lot against elites and regular enemies. It also speeds up gaining stacks of your key passive, Enlightenment. To move on, spend 1 more point on Potent Warding, which gives us resistances. In defensive skills, take Flame Shield. It makes you immune while active and guarantees a critical hit when it ends. Put 2 points into Teleport with the nodes that give you defense after jumping. 2 points are enough for a cooldown-free evade with good gear. Take 3 points in Glass Cannon. Important, this node increases outgoing damage multiplicatively, but it also increases incoming damage multiplicatively. Elemental Attunement, which gives us cooldown of one of your defensive skills, comes from chest armor. This passive means the gap mentioned in the pent description doesn't happen on every rotation of any shield, but every other rotation. In Conjuration skills, put 1 point into Ice Blades with the enhancements. Ice Blades make enemies vulnerable, trigger the cold bonus from Talrasha's Ring, grant bonus attack speed per active blade, and also help build enlightenment stacks. You can take the cooldown reduction node early on if needed. Also put 1 point into Familiar. It counts as all 3 elements and gives us a huge elemental damage bonus. Max out our main skill, Lightning Spear, with these upgrade nodes. Put 1 point into Align the Elements and 1 into Protection. For pushing, you'll need all 3 points in Protection. For regular play, 1 is enough. Put 3 points into Mana Shield and 3 into the powerful Primordial Binding node. Primordial Binding gives multiplicative bonus damage for each summoned unit that includes Lightning Spears, Ice Blades, and Familiar. The bonus stacks 10 times, and with gloves it adds up to 420% multiplicative summon damage, 420% movement speed, and 840% mana regeneration. That means this node boosts your damage by 5.2 times and mana regeneration by 9.4 times. For example, 8 mana per second on boots turns into 75 mana per second, and that's just 1 node. In Mastery skills, we pick Ball Lightning, our damage generator. It doesn't deal damage directly, it generates lightning spears that do. Ball nodes boost attack speed and generate crackling energy. Put 3 points into Inner Flames. It gives 6% mult damage per point while healthy. Healthy means more than 80% maximum life. Also 3 points into an important mana source, Invigorating Conduit, giving us mana for each crackling energy picked up. Primordial Binding turns these 12 mana into 112 mana per orb. In ultimate skills, we put 3 points into each of these. Permafrost, 6% multiplicative increased damage, while a frost skill is on your action bar per point. Hoarfrost, 3% mult increased damage to chilled enemies, 6% multiplicative to frozen per point. Icy Touch, 4% mult increased damage to vulnerable enemies per point. Ice Blades apply vulnerable. Elemental Synergies gives 1% mult increased damage for each skill you have equipped of their type per point. Evocation, 4% cooldown reduction per point. And the key ultimate skill, Unstable Currents. It lasts 10 seconds. While active, whenever you cast a shock skill, A random core, conjuration, or mastery shock skill is also cast. Note, it only triggers shock-tagged skills in those categories. The important one is Lightning Spear, the rest are just a bonus. Take only one node for attack speed. Extra crackling energies aren't needed. In Conduction, 1 point as a gateway node. Put 3 points into Convulsions. 5% multiplicative, increased damage while you have crackling energy and lets you periodically auto-pick them up. Put 2 points into Electrocution, add some extra defense. For the Sorcerer Key passive, we pick Enlightenment. It works like this. Casting any skill gives 1 stack or 8 stacks if the previous skill was a different element. So you want a 3-element rotation not only for Tal Rasha's bonuses, but also to reach 100 stacks faster. Use Fireball and Ice Blades between ball lightnings. Fire or Ice Shields also give 8 stacks each. After gaining 100 stacks, you no longer gain stacks and lose 10 stacks per second. So after reaching 100 stacks, you have 10 seconds with these bonuses. 25% multiplicative damage, 45% mana regeneration, and 20% attack speed. You want to reach 100 stacks as fast as possible. This requires high attack speed to cast more spells. You also need mana to cast, and as I'll explain in detail later, cooldown reduction is extremely important. In other words, for high damage and smooth gameplay, everything matters. In enchantments, we use Familiar. It gets passively summoned when casting Ice Blades and Lightning Spear. It boosts your elemental damage significantly, and Teleport needed for nonstop evade. More on that later. About Paragon. My Paragon board is slightly different from Makuna's version because my goal is to speedrun fast clears in Pit 100 and also kill bosses quickly, so only the first and last boards differ. The first one has the Conjurer Glyph for critical chance. The second, third, and fourth boards are the same. The last one has the Eliminator Glyph, which doubles the bonus from normal nodes. If you have enough Paragon points to take all intelligence nodes within the glyph's radius, this glyph is more profitable. This is possible at Paragon 280. You can use any Paragon board setup that works for you. Infinite Teleport. This assumes you have Teleport selected in enchantments. We achieve Infinite Teleport through high overall cooldown reduction, plus tempering on boots and amulet. The minimum cooldown for a somewhat comfortable playstyle is 2 seconds. The optimal value is 1.7 seconds. Sources of overall cooldown reduction include Shaco, Tal Rasha's Ring, and Paragon nodes. In a pinch, you can also take the cooldown reduction node on Ice Blades and use the Yuriwa boss power in the main seasonal theme slot. The evade ability's cooldown is further reduced by tempering the boots and amulet at the blacksmith. Whether you need to hit those temperings with masterworking and how many times depends on your total evade cooldown. Again, 1.7 seconds is optimal. How it works is simple. You press evade and immediately after, you just need to perform any single attack. The attack triggers the passive stat on the boots. Attacks reduce evade's cooldown by 1.5 seconds, and you instantly get your evade back. A small note, if your ping is 100 plus, infinite evade won't work perfectly even at 1.6 seconds cooldown. But it's still very playable, and you can even set records. Just remember that all else being equal, a player with 40 ping will outperform you. Lightning Spear and the build mechanics. Our main and only damage skill is Lightning Spear. The spear itself got heavily nerfed, but enthusiasts found a new way to summon multiple Lightning Spears using the Unstable Currents ultimate. While Unstable Currents is active, shock effects trigger skills from several other categories. Since we keep the ball lightning key pressed continuously, the speed of spear generation is limited only by our attack speed. Let me make sure I explain this clearly. Our top priority is maintaining 100% uptime on the ultimate through cooldown reduction and the boot aspect bonus, because Ball Lightning, the skill that triggers lightning spears, only works while the ultimate is active. Only after achieving permanent unstable currents should we maximize attack speed. Sim plus Zek can temporarily help with ultimate cooldown until you get better gear. Teleport also summons spears, making evade not just a movement tool and a way to activate Sem rune words, but also a damage source. In enchantments, evade becomes teleport, and teleport has the shock tag by default, meaning it also generates spears when the ultimate is active. Skill rotation. Skill rotation is simple. Like riding a bike, enter the area, activate unstable currents, hold down ball lightning, and immediately press all other skills one after another. Then use skills on cooldown. Use fireball 1 to 2 times per second, but only when you're sure it will hit enemies. Attack speed and breakpoints. The main cast shock skill is Lightning Ball. The faster you cast it while the ultimate is active, the more often you trigger other shock skills, including your main damage skill, Lightning Spear. There are complex formulas here, but don't worry, I'll explain simply. Regular players don't need formulas, just the final table. The left column shows how many frames the game's internal timer needs to display Ball Lightning's animation. This internal FPS has nothing to do with what you see on screen, whether it's 30 or 240 FPS. The right column shows the attack speed bonus needed in your profile for actual speed increases, not just visual numbers in profile ones. The middle column shows real attacks per second at that bonus. Breakpoints help you understand if it's worth increasing your attack speed or not. Let me show you visually. Keep an eye on the attack speed bonus numbers. As soon as we speed up even a little, our attack speed jumps to 155%. When the hidden enlightenment buff kicks in, it's not shown on the UI, attack speed goes up to 165% or even 175% depending on other active buffs. This means we hit the highest breakpoint and our lightning spears are generated at the maximum possible speed. A couple of times you might see 124.3% flash briefly, but our base bonus is 134.3%, which means the second highest breakpoint is active without enlightenment. So for the majority of the time when enlightenment is active, we'll consistently stay above the top breakpoint. Is the meaning of the breakpoint clear? Either increase attack speed to reach at least 162.5 under all buffs, or don't bother increasing it past 132.4. The value should match the number in the table or be higher, then everything will work as intended. What's more important, cooldown reduction or attack speed breakpoints? Short answer, if you're asking, you need both. The full explanation is much longer. Critical chance. With this build version, your profile should show at least 55% critical chance, or 49% if using a critical chance elixir. But then you might not hit attack speed breakpoints without that elixir. The Sem plus Gar rune word gives 25% plus 15% from the Paragon Glyph plus 5% from the Spear's enhancement node, together reaching 100% crit chance. If you lack crit chance, remember you can also get some from Paragon. You can also get 50% critical chance instantly using the seasonal power Hatred's Embrace's Haste. But this would significantly change the build. You'd need to re-roll gear, change Paragon Glyph and some nodes, and remove Lilith's power from seasonal slots. This would be a different build variant. You cannot change one thing without affecting others. Seasonal powers: main, Beast in the Ice freezes enemies. Second, Sinurat's Flames, 1.25 times damage multiplier. Third, Beastmaster's Training, 2.5x damage multiplier. Lilith's power is for strong single target damage, creating clones that trigger extra attacks with the weapon aspect. Mercenaries. My main slot has Subo. It shows enemies on minimap and gives plus 25% damage for 4 seconds every 20 seconds. Second option for pushing, Rahir. It gives Fortify, 15% armor if you're below the 1000 cap, and every 25 seconds increases damage by 15% for 5 seconds. Getting Fortify also increases your overpower damage, important for snapshotting. I explained snapshots in detail in my previous video. Support slot can use Altkin, reducing incoming damage for 6 seconds every 20 seconds. Or for extra attack speed early season, use Variana's buff. Rune words. Sem or Cheer plus Om, 15% multiplier from Barbarian's Warcry. Nagu plus Zal for high pit pushing. Ahu plus Cox for damage if you have enough mana. Sem plus Gar for critical chance. Seer plus Vex for plus 3 to all skills. Sem plus Zek for ultimate cooldown. General tips. Use gems or skulls in jewelry for extra resistances or armor. Lilith's power is best for boss damage in the extra seasonal power slot, but push builds run without it. Put critical damage gems in your weapon and intellect gems in armor. Which Uber item is more important? Shaco or Ring of Starless Skies? Shaco. That's all for now. If I forgot something, feel free to ask. See you next time.